Yo, what's up guys? So it is indeed real. Exodia 6 Samurai with an actual consistent build. And I know it sounds like something that you would see from the anime, but guys, it is indeed real. So yo, drop a like on this video if you like seeing crazy, ridiculous anime decks. But this one, you know, when I say anime decks, I usually mean things that are just like really difficult to pull off, but it's cool when it actually happens. But guys, it's really easy to pull this off, and Great General is also going to be coming out here in the TCG for those of you guys that saw my last video. And by the way, if you haven't seen the last God Dragon 6 Samurai video, definitely check that out. It is a crazy board. We're talking locking your opponent out of the Echo deck because you take all 7 monster zones, and then on top of that, you're going to be able to basically say you can't play Yu-Gi-Oh! And it all really comes down to this card, Great General of the 6 Samurai. This card is coming out here in the TCG, and it searches out Gateway, which enables all of these crazy FTKs, OTKs, and it makes me think that either Gateway has potential to be banned, or maybe sorry YuGioh, but there's actually so many draw power cards. We're talking number 60. We're also talking about an older card, number 10, Alumni, because the Great General lets you add Gateway, and that lets you cycle through basically infinite key zones. There's infinite damage loops. There's so many FTKs that will be coming out of this, and I got those for you guys, because I think a lot of people will be interested in playing 6 Samurais, and because, you know, Exodia is just one of those cool, iconic cards, it's kind of awesome to see it being played in a deck that you normally would never believe. Like, it sounded like clickbait. When I got this email of the replay, Exodia 6 Samurais, I was like, okay, this is it mixing in, like, the Exodia, like, actual attack? Like, because there is a build of Exodia where you actually just, like, you summon the Exodia parts, and then you basically can make these boss monsters, but for the most part, that's a completely different build. We're talking actual Exodia, like the one where if you get all of the pieces, you win. And 6 Samurai surprisingly have a decent amount of draw power. I mean, they have 3 copies of 6 Samurai United, which is basically a pot of greed for the deck, right? And on top of that, you have easy consistency with Isolde, which just gives you instant access to searching out a monster and then also special summoning one. But I just want to mention, and I'll kind of mention it during the next play, because I do want to show off 2 different replays, because the first one over here, we opened up okay. The other one, we have some minus cards, because you don't want to have the Exodia parts in any Exodia deck. When you start out the duel, you don't really want them. And then also, I really want to ask you guys, what's the problem? Is it Sorry YuGioh or Gateway? One of these has to go. Like, there's just, I'm not even kidding when I say that there's probably over like 30 to 50 different FTKs with the new 6 Samurai Link monster, because it's Gateway or Sorry YuGioh. I mean, if they didn't have Gateway, I don't think people would really be interested in playing 6 Samurais. But at the same time, now this is actually an optimal hand. I'll show you guys this one over here, which is basically, you don't want to draw this, you don't want to draw that. Gateway, on the other hand, it's totally fine if you draw it or not. Either way, you're going to be able to go ahead and add that card anyway, so it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. But these cards are basically -2, so at that point, we're still winning the game. Again, all you do is make this card and you just straight up win, which is really where I feel like this deck becomes out of control and overpower. Will we see 6 Samurais do anything? Because keep in mind, the OCG, they've got triple Gateway, and still 6 Samurais are nowhere to be found. But maybe it's because they didn't find the right build with Exodia. I mean, like I said, you don't even have to play Exodia. You can play a build where you spam the board 7 link bombs. Yeah, you can create the board with 7 links, and at that point, you have a 5 God Dragon and 7 links. Like, what is your opponent going to do? And they're all co-links, so they have all the abilities where they can't target them, they can't destroy them for card effects, and your opponent can't activate special summon monsters effects that aren't co-linked, so your opponent does not Yu-Gi-Oh! Anyways. And like I said, I'll pin that down below. It's a really insane build, though. And again, the thing that makes this so consistent is it's literally just make a sold and you're good to go. And remember, guys, we opened up with 2 cards that would be considered minus, right? But on top of that, we've also, for the people that are arguing about hand traps, we're also playing hand trap counters in here. This is not like a one-trick pony Exodia deck where it has no counters to hand traps, because I have seen different, it's basically the Dragon Exodia build, which I do plan to cover also, because Super Rejuvenation opens up so many more FTKs with Exodia. But the thing is that, you know, a lot of those builds, they can't really play too many other cards because they're very reliant on all of the draw powers that they're getting with the Dragon cards. But nonetheless, Another thing I do want to mention is if you do not decide to even go for Exodia, like if you're just to play this out, you could basically draw so many cards, and then you would, I mean, is your opponent really going to be playing Yu-Gi-Oh! If you can set multiple copies of Called by the Grave, and you have Temple of the Six with, like, you know, anywhere 20, 30 counters, because that's possible, actually, no joke. You could even make, like, let's say, Xian, you could use, you know, multiple dojos, you could summon the, what is it, the Xian effect monster, and then on top of that, your opponent's not going to be able to really go for very many plays if you just make Xian and, well, technically there's 3 Xian, but you guys know. I'm talking about the one where it's like, yo, you can only go ahead and activate one spell or trap per turn. And if you play against Sky Strikers, telling them only 1 per turn, yeah, good luck playing that deck. Or good luck playing any Pendulum builds, or there's a lot of ways that 6 Samurais will actually become very difficult to deal with if you're playing like Pendulum, Sky Strikers, or any deck that needs to really search out via, like, activate this card to search out. Again, we were going to go ahead and Exodia him, and we still had extra draw power, and we didn't even utilize every single, YuGioh that we needed to. So, again, it really comes down to still 4 counters, 3 counters, 5 counters, 3 counters. Like, you guys see what I'm saying. And if you basically keep all your counters on Temple of 6, you can use Temple of 6 effect. It doesn't really get used. It's basically for the Bushido counters, but monsters your opponent controls lose 100 attack for each Bushido counter on this card. If this card has infinite counters too. A lot of the older cards, I would say, didn't have like a limit on counters because they didn't expect it to go that high. But the thing is that, like, this can have infinite counters. You can get this up to 20, 30 counters, and then all your opponent's monsters, if you have like 30 counters on it, they just lose all 3,000 attack. And at that point, like, what is your opponent going to do? Like, it's unwinnable anyways. The other replay over here, it's basically the same thing. This is what I would consider a pretty decent hand, though. So, again, it's just the bread and butter play, guys, is just make a sold, activate a sold's effect, search Destiny Hero Dogma. That's going to be for your trading when you eventually draw into it. Just utilize that bamboo engine and start cycling through cards, and then you'll be good to go. And unfortunately, look at this, double Exodia parts and Dogma. So those are all minus, but it doesn't matter because you're going to be searching off of your Great General, which is going to give you Gateway. Go ahead and add that 6 Samurai. And then pretty much you guys got that idea. I just wanted to go ahead and explain the basic little combo there. But yeah, this card is coming out. I believe it's in the Chaos Impact Special Edition. But, and we'll also scrap Wyvern. That's also confirmed for TCG. Both of these cards. So those of you guys that are saying, like, dude, we're never getting this card, we're getting it, guys. So here is the deck profile for this build over here. And shout out to my boy Stardust YGOPRO for sending this in. He's the same guy that did that Dragon Samurai God variant deck, and like I said, I highly recommend you guys check it out. I mentioned it several times, but it blew up the other day, and you know, sometimes with YouTube, you just miss out. For whatever reason, YouTube doesn't send out those videos to people. But anyways, the Exodia Samurai build, hope you guys enjoyed it, but let's go ahead and get into the deck profile. So first off, all copies of Exodia, obviously, all 5 pieces. Then we got Destiny Hero Dogma and Trade-in. This is kind of like the random card. It doesn't have to be Destiny Hero Dogma. You could maybe find out if there is like a better option for this, but it's any card that would be usable with basically Trade-in, or you could technically run a Lure of Darkness as well if you did decide to go ahead and play that. There might be other options. I was even thinking that you can throw it Into the Void, because this is a deck that is only, it's an Exodia deck. It's an FTK deck. Why not go ahead and throw in Into the Void if you really wanted to try to cut it down? But because you get the free search off of Is Sold anyways, most of the cards aren't going to be able to be utilized really, other than, of course, just getting rid of it with trading, because you can't activate their effects. So Grandmaster, it's just another summon monster, and then keys on. These are just basically spam them over and over again. And then we have 3 copies of Mizuho, 3 copies of Shinai, and 1 copy of Genba. And then basically you have 4 copies of Reinforcement of the Army in the deck, because Smoke Signals basically going to search out whatever key combo you need. And then we have Foolish Burial Goods. That is actually just for the Bamboo Engine. And then we have the, 3 Smoke Signal, 1 copy of Foolish Burial Goods, 3 Golden Bamboo Swords, 3 copies of Called, 1 copy of Gateway, 3 copies of Dojo, 3 copies of Pot of Greed. And then we have 1 copy of Phoenix Blade, and 1 copy of Broken Bamboo Sword, 3 copies of Cursed Bamboo Sword, and 1 copy of Temple of the Six. For the extra deck, you pretty much need to go ahead and add every single thing in here. There's not really a room to swap anything in and out, but there were gameplays that only utilized 2 copies of Saryuja technically, but there was 2 different gameplays where at the very end there was technically 3 cards. So with 3 copies of Saryuja, you have instantly the ability to go through every 40 cards of your deck for the most part, unless your opponent does happen to have hand trap, which I guess you have 3 answers to their hand traps. But we got the Outer Entity, then we got the 6 Samurai Shadow, and then we got 3 copies of number 10 Alumni, which is going to allow you to get extra draw power. Then we have Dagusto Emerald, then also of course the newer card number 60, and then we have Outer Entity. And then 3 copies of YuGioh, 3 copies of Soul, and then of course your 1 copy of your Great General, the 6 Samurai Link Monster. But I'm curious to know what you guys think actually should be hit in this deck as far as the ban list goes. I feel like Gateway is definitely the problem, but YuGioh basically enables the Spammerino to go on with just the draw a bunch of cards, cycle through cards, and then eventually you just end up winning the game. So I don't know, I feel like something needs to be changed with these 6 Samurai decks though, because again, you could basically have an excess of 5 extra cards in your deck. You don't even need to play this, and you can open up with these insane boards. Like I said, check the pinned comment. The video was fire. If you guys want like a more general 6 Samurai build. I don't mean like, I guess, no pun intended by general of the 6 Samurai, but I was gonna, I'm trying to say like a more, I guess, Link-focused build that's interested in playing Yu-Gi-Oh! I guess regularly, if that makes sense, versus an Exodia win condition. But I just love seeing Exodia here with all of the 6 Samurais. Again, it's something that just sounds so weird, 6 Samurai Exodia. But anyways, hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, drop a like on it. If you're new here and want to see more crazy Yu-Gi-Oh! Builds, definitely hit that subscribe button and turn on that bell, and you'll definitely see more very, very soon. Also, shouts to my boy, YGOPRO. Check him out. I'll have him also pinned down below. And if you guys want to send in other replays, because I know that this new 6 Samurai card is 100% going to open up like 50 different FTKs. It's just the nature of Gateway and the nature of being able to just search out Gateway. Keep in mind, guys, OCG, they got triple, but they only got 1 of these. Does that change everything? Maybe that's the key card. But anyways, thanks for tuning in, guys. Have a good one. I'm signing out. Peace.